Now, we have learned about inheritance. But in Kotlin, a child class can only inherit from one parent class. So then, what do we do when we want a child class to inherit from multiple classes? We use interfaces in such cases. Now let's look at some features of interfaces. Interfaces are similar to classes, but they do not have a state or properties. So, they do not have constructors as well. They can have functions with or without default implementations. That is, the function definition may not necessarily have to be there. They are declared by using the keyword interface. Now, let's go to our IDE and create a new interface called myInterface. So let's right-click on the src folder and then select New, and here let's select Kotlin file/class. Now in this dialog box, select Interface from this drop-down menu and give it the name myInterface here. If you see, just like classes, the name of an interface also starts with a capital letter. So, the interface has been created for us. Now, as we said, it will not have any constructors, so no parentheses required. Then we have the curly braces. Now here, let's create two functions called hello and greeting. Since it is not necessary to give the default implementation of a function in interfaces, let's leave this function hello without a body here. We will give the default implementation for this function greeting. So, we have understood that a function body is called its default implementation. And we may or may not have a default implementation for a function in interfaces. Now, let's talk about inheritance in interfaces. So, when we talk about interfaces, we do not call it inheritance, but we call it implementation. The different term is used only to avoid confusion. The concept remains the same. Now, let's create a class called callMe and implement the interface we created. So this is how we will do it. It's just like inheritance. Now, before we proceed, you can see that the IDE gives an error here. This is because the function hello in the interface was not defined. So let's call the function hello and define it. As you will see, we have used the keyword override here since we are overriding that function here. If we want, we can also override the function greeting and change its definition here like this. Now let's go to this main function and create objects of class callMe and use the functions hello and greeting. Now, as we said, interfaces are used to solve the problem of multiple inheritance. So a child class can inherit multiple interfaces. So now, let's create another interface called new interface. Now let's create a function here. Now, let's go to the class callMe and implement this other interface. We can simply add the name of the interface here and it's done. Now let's use the function declared in the new interface and give its definition. Let's go to the main function now and add the new method here to the object. Now let's run the program. Yes, we get the expected output. So, you see that the implementations that we had given for the 3 functions in the callMe class are being displayed. So, that was all about creating and implementing interfaces. Click next to take a quiz and practice some code.